The TNT Fireworks Bassmaster Elite at Smith Lake. What a tournament. Well, now's the time that we take the time to explore and go deeper into some of the top performances we have seen all week long at this remarkable tournament. And we do it with our Humminbird Unlock the Lake.
Yeah, take a look here at Humminbird Unlock the Lake. We got the projected, the guys are still fishing, but projected top 5. All of their fish today, and you see that they all kind of stayed in their little general area, and no one was really fishing real close to the others in this top 5, but kind of mid-lake to lower lake there with Robert G. Cory Johnston, mid-lake, mid to lower lake, fishing out over about 70 to 80 feet of water, sometimes going on up to 100, 110 feet. But Cory Johnston certainly in his wheelhouse doing this, using his forward-facing sonar, looking for pods of bait fish and some of these bigger spotted bass, not really paying any attention to the bottom brush piles or anything like that. Cory Johnston just searching for these fish, and he did a real good job getting them to bite.
It seemed like, guys, that there was other anglers who caught plenty of striper throughout the week and they'd be disappointed, but Cory seemed to catch more or have those around him more, whether it's because he was just a little extra deep compared to others, but those big spotted bass, they sometimes hang around those big striper as well.
It seemed like they want to, the bigger spotted bass, just like the stripers, they hang around those bigger blueback herring. And you don't see a lot of little ones, a lot of little spotted bass out there around those stripers and those bigger spotted bass, as we saw Steve Kennedy use a bait that looked like a small spotted bass. Those other ones will certainly eat them.
From one Canadian to another, let's go over to Cooper Gallant. Cooper coming in here with a lot of confidence. Obviously liking this place. Everyone's likened it to northern fishing. The clear water, the depths that we're working in this week. He showed he can handle that sort of situation.
It only took about 15 minutes, Davey, this morning for us to know that he wasn't going to stay in 7th place long. He was going to make a move up the leaderboard because he caught a 2-pounder, which is fine, and then he caught a heavy 2, like a 2.5 to 2 3/4, and then a 3+ pounder. Those two right there tell you, hey, I have a chance to make some moves today if I can just fill out my limit with some decent ones.
Cooper reminds me a lot of Przekurat. He just kind of hangs around, and before you know it, it's getting close to the end of the tournament. He makes the top 10. He's been good throughout, down south. Maybe his first year he had a little learning curve there, but now you can tell he works hard. He pre-fishes in a lot of these places, and he does well. He's got a bright future ahead of him. You see all the fish there that he caught today in that one area.
Steady, great mind for fishing, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, that is for sure. The rookie, Robert G., we've had our eyes on him since the start of the season when he knocked out a 4th place finish down at Toledo Bend. Very affable angler from Knoxville, Tennessee, and he had a lot of confidence in what he was doing here.
Yeah, the leader starting out this morning and then had the lead late in the day. Robert G., a good tournament, a good strategy. Came here and pre-fished 2 days. He said, I spent the entire 2 days on my trolling motor just searching areas of the lake. With the lithium batteries you have now and the power that you have in these trolling motors, these anglers can go out there for 10 hours, put their trolling motor down. Does not have the live sonar on the back of his boat. He said he put his trolling motor down and stayed on his trolling motor, never fished for 2 solid days. And he said down around the dam, I could definitely tell it was a different class of fish, and that's where I want to spend my time because I want to hold one of those blue trophies over my head.
What's also cool, Tommy, we see a lot of different baits. Like Justin Hamner's had a big spoon in play. We've seen some other things. For him, he had that shad-shaped worm, and a normal clear water spotted bass smallmouth bait, but then he had a hair jig that was made specifically for fishing like this. Not like a Tennessee River hair jig, but he had his little flavor, maybe a little East Tennessee vibes to it too. It is an Oklahoma-based jig, but it works here as well.
A little surprising some of these anglers did so well. Robert G. with the Yamamoto shad-shaped worm and a hair jig. Przekurat made it even more simple than that. He used a baby Z2 and a 3/8 ounce jig head the entire tournament, and he came real close. That 6-pounder kind of was disappointing to the other 9 anglers. Let's not be shy about saying that. It just is what it is, but certainly looked like a tournament Przekurat could win.
Uber consistent, Tommy.
Always, always. That's what he always does. He's super consistent and quietly competent, beyond competent. He's an absolute pro's pro at an early age out here, and he showed that since the first year he came out and won Rookie of the Year.
A lot of these guys had 14 to 15 pounds on day 1, and they were in our top 10. He is 13 pounds 11 ounces, wasn't in our top 10, slowly got better as a lot of people fell off the cliff weight-wise. He stayed in the 13s to 14s range. But this guy, like you said, somebody's going to be a game changer. He had the consistency, and today, Tommy, he got that upper echelon bite he needed.
We should have been listening harder when he said, I like this place. It reminds me of my favorite lake back home. Favorite place to fish in America now is Smith Lake for Taku Ito.
He went from loving smallmouth bass to loving spotted bass.
I think he loves winning, Davy.
Yeah.
He does. He loves catching, and we love watching him catch fish. He's such a joy to watch. He enjoys every day. We've seen him have some tough days, but most days we have a camera with him, they are not tough days. They are good days. He catches a lot of fish. One of the few anglers I mentioned earlier that said, I can tell the difference between those 4 and 5 pound spotted bass and the 4 and 5 pound stripers. This was probably the low point of his day right here. He lost a nice spotted bass.
I would love if my low point of the day, Davey, lasts about 37 seconds and you hook up on the next cast. What we now know about this spot, it's seemingly a deeper break. Right before it drops off into 70, 80, 90 feet of water, it's where it's kind of just, it levels off there. I guess you could call it a ledge. He was able to catch a couple fish. He had that big storm come in, and that is why we ended up losing his camera later in the day, but he stayed at it, poised, focused at all times, and knows the subtleties between a 2.5 and a 3.5, or how I need to put myself in position for a 5 pounder maybe.
Speaking of putting himself in position, we just got to stop and watch this right here. What a spotted bass. All the excitement.
Had brim in its throat, Davey, not blueback herring.
Absolutely. That's a pancake eater there.
Went in at 5 pounds 4 ounces, and that's it. That's how it went down on Smith Lake in Alabama with a dramatic conclusion. And that is your Humminbird Unlock the Lake.